My dear student, today I am going to discuss a new topic, and our topic is degree of elasticity of demand. So our chapter name is elasticity of demand, and I have already discussed why we measure the degree of elasticity of demand. So degree of elasticity of demand explains that in what proportion or in what ratio the quantity demand change in respect to change in price. So there are 5 degrees of elasticity of demand, as you know. First, perfectly elastic demand. Second, perfectly inelastic demand. Third, high elastic demand. Next, less elastic demand. And the last one, that is the unitary elastic demand. So how it occurs, so here we will discuss. So first I take, that is the perfectly elastic demand. It means ED is equal to infinite. So first thing, degree of elasticity of demand also explain that the elasticity of demand lies between 0 to infinite. Is it clear? So it must be in your mind that it lies between 0 to infinite. Now the first, perfectly elastic demand. So what is perfectly elastic demand? Perfectly elastic demand refers a situation in which the price of the commodity will remain constant and a consumer can buy as much as quantity as he wish. The most important feature is that slight rise in the price, demand may be 0. But here the question arises, why the demand may be 0? Even slight rise in the price, because here the product is 100% identical or homogeneous. Here just I want to give you an example only to understand it. As we know that the BPCL, the HPCL, the Bharat Petroleum, every firm are selling the homogeneous products such as petrol and diesel. So what you find? You find that the price of each firm is constant, and the customers can buy any amount of that quantity as he wish. If slight rise in the price, the people will migrate from one firm to another firm, and in that case the demand may be 0. So here the product is 100% identical, and that's why we can take the example of perfectly elastic demand. So here first thing, price, that is constant. Second features, quantity may be infinite. And third, that is slight rise in price, demand may be 0. So this is the basic feature of perfectly elastic demand. Now it can be explained with the help of following schedule and diagram. So let here that is the price, here that is the quantity, demand. So when the price is 100, the quantity demand may be 100. When the price is again 100, the quantity demand may be 200. The price may be 100, the quantity demand may be 150. Is it clear? So what you find? You find that here the price is constant, but the quantity demand varies, and it is known as perfectly elastic demand. So in this situation, the diagrammatical presentation will be, let there are two axes, that is y axis and x-axis. So on the y-axis price is taken, on the x-axis that is the quantity demand. Is it clear? Here the price is constant, let the price is OP and that is constant, and that's why it has become demand line. Is it clear? Which is parallel to x-axis. So initial demand, suppose that is the DD, which intersect the price and the initial quantity is OQ. Demand may be decline, that may be D1, and the quantity may decline, that is Q1. Demand may be rise here, that is the D1, D2, and the quantity demand may increase from OQ to OQ2. So in this way we find the demand may be infinite. Is it clear? Now come to the second. Second one is known as perfectly inelastic demand. Perfectly inelastic. Inelastic. So as we know that there are two kinds of goods. One is the rubber and in my hand that is the duster. So if we apply force on this duster, the shape and size does not change. It means that this duster is inelastic. But the same force will be applied on the rubber, its shape and size changes. Is it clear? Like that, here the price works as a force. So in case of perfectly inelastic, even the price increase or decrease, the quantity demand will remain same. For example, here price and that is the quantity demand. Initial price is 100, quantity demand is 10. Now 200, again the quantity demand is 10. So what you find? You find that even the price rises from 100 to 200, quantity demand is 10, or even the price falls from 200 to 100, the quantity demand is 10. So this situation is basically found in the case of necessary goods such as salt. So salt, either the price increase or decrease, the quantity demand generally it will be constant. Okay. So the feature says that here the demand will be parallel to y-axis. Here I have taken two, that is the x and y-axis. This is the two axis, and this is the demand line, that is Q and OQ. We can say it is demand line. Demand line. Initial price suppose 100, next 200, but what we find, the quantity demand is constant. Is it clear? DD, D1, D1. So either the price increase or the price decrease, the quantity demand is constant. It does not change, and that's why here the demand curve is parallel to y-axis. Demand curve is parallel to y-axis. Is it clear? Now come to the third one. Third, that is known as highly elastic demand. Highly elastic demand. Is it clear? So here ED is greater than 1. Okay? So ED is greater than 1, and in case of perfectly inelastic demand, that was ED is equal to 0. So here that is the ED is greater than 1. What it indicates? It indicates that slight rise in price, demand falls, with a rapid speed. With a rapid speed. In other words, we can say, suppose 10% price rise, 20% demand falls. Okay? Or 20% price falls, demand rises up to 50%. So in other words, we can say that highly elastic demand refers a situation in which the quantity demand either increases or decreases at a higher rate in respect of price. So it can be also explained with the help of following schedule and diagram. So take here the schedule, here that is the price, this is the quantity demand. Initial price is 100, quantity demand suppose also 100. Is it clear? Now the price falls 100 to 50 and the quantity demand increases from 100 to 200. So what we find? Here the 50% fall in price. Is it clear? Quantity demand increases double. Double means 100% rise in quantity demand. Is it clear? So this situation is known as highly elastic demand. Here we can take the example of gold. Is it clear? Now come again, here that is the two axis, x and y. On the y axis that is the price and on the x axis that is the quantity demand. Let the initial price suppose is OP. Clear? And the price falls. So new price is OP1 and the quantity demand is OQ1. So let here only 50% fall in the price, the quantity demand increases up to 100%, and when we join these 2 points we get the demand curve, and this demand curve is a flatter. So shape of demand curve is flatter. Is it clear? In case of high elastic demand. Now come to the fourth one, that is less elastic demand. So this is the fourth one, less elastic demand. So in case of less elastic demand, ED is always less than 1, and this situation basically found in case of inferior goods. Inferior goods such as black and white TV, cellular phone, etc. Okay, so what happens here? We find that the price falls at a faster rate, but the demand does not rise in that ratio, or the quantity demand increases, no doubt, but at a very slow rate, and that this situation is known as less elastic demand. Let that is the price, here that is the quantity demand. Price is suppose 100, okay, quantity demand is also 100. Price falls up to 50%, but the quantity demand increases up to 125. So what you find? We find that the price has fallen up to 50%, but the demand has increased up to 25% only. Okay, so this situation is known as less elastic demand. It can also be explained with the help of following diagram. So again, here that is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, here that is the price, and here that is the quantity demand. So suppose OP is the initial price, is it clear? And the demand is OQ. Price falls up to 50% and the new price is OP1, but the quantity demand has increased, no doubt, but very less, that is 25% only or less than 25%. And when we join this line, that is known as demand line. As so the shape of demand may be a steeper, okay, because it is slant, so it is falling at a very fast rate, and that's why it is known as less elastic demand. And the last, that is the fifth, that is known as unitary elastic demand. Next is unitary so here ED is equals to 1. Unitary elastic means ED is equals to 1. So what you find that when the ED will becomes equals to 1, so there is a case when percentage change in demand in price is equals to percentage change in demand. Okay, so in that case ED will become equals to 1. So in a simple words we can say when the price falls, the quantity demand rises in the same proportion, or when the price rises, the quantity demand falls in the same ratio, okay, then ED will becomes equals to 1. So here just take one example. Here that is the price and this is the quantity demand. Is it clear? So suppose price is 100 and quantity demand is 200. Price falls, that is 50, so quantity demand has increased 300. Is it clear? So what you find? We find that percentage change in price is equal to 50%, okay, and here the quantity demand also change, that is 50%, okay. So in this way we can say that quantity demand and the price ratio works in the opposite direction but in the same proportion, okay. So now come in case of diagrammatical presentation, that is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. On the y-axis price is taken and the x-axis, that is the quantity demand, okay. Initial price let, that is the OP, and the quantity demand is OQ, that is the quantity demand. Now the price falls, suppose new price is P1, so price falls 50%, so quantity demand, new quantity demand is also rises up to 50%. So in that case the demand curve, that is the demand curve, will be a rectangular hyperbola, okay. So shape of demand curve is rectangular hyperbola. Is it clear? And that is known as ED is equal to 1. So in this way, in this whole video, I have completed the degrees of elasticity of demand. Thank you.